Do you see a risk that this emerging psychedelic industry ends up kind of repeating the same patterns what we saw with cannabis reform, or worse with like the opioid epidemic?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So let me tell you where I think we're in a better place today than we would be in the past on that very question, and that is the Trump administration. The Trump administration is supportive of plant-based medicines and psychedelic medicines. You've got RFK Kennedy Jr., who is a strong advocate. He's already hired people on his team who are strong advocates. Matt Zorn, who is his deputy counsel, you might remember Matt's name. He successfully sued the DEA around cannabis growth, actually for a doctor here in Arizona, Sue Sisley, so that you could have effective cannabis research. He's now the deputy general counsel at HHS, which is fantastic. But you've got, Dr. Marty Makary, who's the new commissioner at the FDA. He's already on several podcasts said very positive things about psychedelic research. And as you know, this administration has taken a very different approach with traditional pharma, very different approach. And so I think the challenge here is to work our way through FDA approval for the class of psychedelic medicines that have shown efficacy with veterans for traumatic brain injury, PTSD, Parkinson's, opiate addiction, depression, etc. And then figure out how do we support the tiny companies that are doing this work so that they don't get bought out by a large traditional company. One of the kind of occurrences that happens sometimes is a large company might buy a small company, and then instead of taking their product to the end of the process, they might just bury it. So we got to make sure that doesn't happen, right? So we need the small companies to be supported so they can get all the way through the FDA process. And that's why we're doing efforts like the one that Matt and I are working on in Arizona, and that Governor Rick Perry and Brian Hubbard are working on in Texas, which is state-based investment in Ibogaine research to get FDA approval. So we've got to kind of go outside the traditional process to ensure that we can help this class of very small drugs for which there's not a huge moneymaker at the end to actually get access to FDA and then eventually get approval.